Now we jump ahead to Melville, The Human Condition, The Existential Man. This is one of the most influential films in film history, whether people working today know it or not,
because it's influenced them through all of the imitation.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Take 5, the podcast where we take a cinema legend and take 5 of their films to highlight their excellence and range. My name is Austin Luger.
My name's Eric Martindale.
And this is episode 86. This is the beginning of a new 5. We're going to be highlighting the films of Jean-Pierre Melville, a noir and thriller director from France. Next week we'll be covering Leon Morin Priest. After that will be Les Samourai, Army of Shadows, and Le Cercle Rogue. But this week we are going to be covering one of his early films, Bob le Flambeur. Nope. Not right. Still, second take, still couldn't do it.
I said it's Bob, just say Bob the Gambler.
And I actually don't want to say Bob the Gambler because I prefer the translation of Bob the High Roller.
Where'd you see that at?
I've seen a couple different places have Bob the High Roller because to me, this movie succeeds about kind of what type of gambler Bob is. But before we jump into that, This is the story of an older gentleman named Bob. And he's a high roller more than a gambler. He's not someone who will quickly make a quick bet on the side. He wants to go to the really nice. He sees himself as a gentleman gambler and a gentleman thief in many kind of ways. And this is the story of him, coming back into the world and immediately is going to be involved in yet another heist. And he meets a young woman. There's drama going on there, but really to me, it's weird. It's my second time watching this film, and I really always enjoy the noirish twists and turns, but to me, I love this movie as a character study, much in the same way to me as I think how you love The Wrestler. This is just a man who should not be doing what he's doing, but it's all he knows how to do.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like the translation Bob the Gambler better.
Oh, yeah?
Surprise, surprise. Mainly just because it's not just the gambling aspect. High roller to me implies... Well, no, you're right. I mean, high roller can imply a lifestyle or whatnot. The gambler, too, in the sense that Bob, he takes... Bob is a risk taker, not just a gambler as walking into a casino and trying to win money. So, yeah, that's what... Because he's a thief, too.
Absolutely.
And his risks are occasionally... more calculated, and I don't know.
He reminded me of, to paraphrase Hans Gruber, no, I'm an exceptional gambler. To me, but also that means nothing in the same way. The reason why I enjoy watching him is because he also, I think, builds up his own myth about who he is. He keeps telling the stories to this girl, I was born here, but then I just, left and conquered the whole world. I was born with an ace in my hand, he says at one point.
Well, there's an implication that when we meet Bob in this film, we are meeting a man also past his prime, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a guy sort of, on the brink of losing all. Bob has been in jail for a crime that he had committed in the past, but has made a pretty nice lifestyle out of both being a gambler and making money gambling. It used to be something he was really good at. Now he has terrible luck, but also being a police informant, which we learn literally from the get-go in this film. It's kind of reminded me of The Killing a lot.
I thought about The Killing during this as well.
Yeah, just in the way that the narration sort of plays with time and when people are supposed to be where they are, and the nature of forming a team and then trying to pull off a heist, and maybe the fact that it's black and white too. I'm not sure, but it definitely sort of gave that vibe to me.
When they came out around the same time, right? This was I think just a little bit before because The Killing was 60s.
Yeah,
this is 1956.
So this has been right around the same time. I'm not sure.
I think they were definitely influenced by the same kind of films because right around this time you get the French New Wave starting up. And a lot of what inspired the French New Wave was these French critics turned filmmakers who were really into what America was doing with noir films. They had a great appreciation for them more than the critics did in America because they saw more formalistic approaches to storytelling where it's not just a world, it's a world that's constantly looking bleak at every corner. The camera moves to show what kind of world this is. And while I did think of The Killing for a lot of the plot points, it was kind of interesting to compare them because The Killing to me is such a gross movie and like everyone's on the verge of yelling. You know, it's a very angry kind of movie. Whereas the thing I love about Melville films is that it's just so damn cool. And we're going to see some cooler films of his, but there is a shot in this movie I love when they're cracking open the wall safe, you know, near the end, and they're all dressed to the nines, and they're all just staying they're very like into what's happening because this is life or death for them. But they're just very sophisticated as they just kind of all perfectly stare at the tick 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 of getting the safe open.
And this type of gimmick will be taken later and used in other films. I mean, or heist films. You know, probably the most popular heist film in the past 20 years or so is probably Ocean's 11, right?
Sure.
The movie's probably close to being older than 20 years, but I'm not sure when the movie came out. But
2001-ish?
So within that time frame where, you know, you have the like maybe two bigger guys, you know, you have the money guy, you have the expert thief that puts everybody together, and each one sort of has their skill and the thing that they're supposed to do. And then they're auditioning maybe someone else, right? Or they're watching them while they do their thing. I think there's a scene where they watch Jet Li flipping around the room. Well, this is much cooler than that.
That was not Jet Li, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, well, who is it?
Another Asian actor?
I assume because it was a guy that was doing flips and crap.
I have no idea what his name is, but I think he might be a foot shorter than Jet Li.
Okay.
That's about it.
I wasn't confusing them because of their ethnicity. I was confusing them because of their talent.
You're mixing up Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah. Was that what it... No, it may have been, honestly. Because I watched
4, yeah.
Back when I watched Ocean's 11, I was probably watching Lethal Weapon 4. But regardless, there's a guy doing a bunch of flips and stuff around the room. And in this sense, it's like watching a guy crack a safe, right? So it's a thing.
I know. I heard this was an influence on Soderbergh for Ocean's 11, and I didn't really.
Oh, you did?
So,
yeah. Well, obviously.
Yeah, and I didn't think until near the end of this film, and as always we do spoilers. As Bob is being courted off to jail, just the tone of it reminded me how the Ocean film ends, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to jail, but come on. It's all right. He has the great last line where he mocks the police of, maybe I'll sue you guys for damages.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed in the ending of this film. I was sad that the heist didn't ever happen.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, the heist doesn't even become a thing until like 50 minutes in this movie.
Yeah.
Like they're not talking about the heist in this film. A lot of the plot centers around the main character, Bob, young girl, what's her name? Anne, and his friend Paulo, who's the young sort of up and coming, the Bob the gambler to be. He aspires to be Bob, and maybe Bob will, maybe he will be Bob one day. But, you know, he's killed in this final scene.
Yeah.
Like kind of. And these cops, man, when they show up, they're not taking prisoners, man.
And this is kind of the greatness of it all, because like you get invested in the heist, you're ready to see how it goes, it's exciting. You like to see kind of Bob back in. Don't know if it's the element that he's best at, but it's something he's good at.
Well, he has a compulsion. To the point where
it's super problematic.
Yeah,
and I love the way he disguises it as like something romantic, like the way you see Danny Ocean in Ocean's 11, like. The way he just creates a myth about himself of who he is, and like, oh yeah, like he's not. He's just as much of a gambler who's betting $5 on a basketball game he just walked into seeing, but he's pretending that I'm not that kind of criminal. I'm a high class criminal because I do big bets.
Well, if he can get so into it that he forgets that he's there to pull off a heist, then he must be really into it.
That scene's amazing because like it really is like I was watching the first time.
What game are they playing?
I don't know.
See, that bothered me.
Well, it
didn't bother me as like if something wrong with the film. It's just like me and a personal thing. All that entire scene where he's getting invested, it's a game that I don't know, I don't recognize, so I don't know when he's winning or not. I mean, I know when they push the chips over to him, but I would like to. It's more tense than like when I'm watching Casino Royale and I know how to play Hold'em, so I know what the odds are.
Yeah, I was about to bring up James Bond because I grew up kind of watching those films, and he plays some sort of card game most of those movies, especially the older ones. Mm-hmm. I mean, like even my favorite Bond films, GoldenEye. I still have no idea what game he's playing at the beginning. Pierce Brosnan. Like there's really large rectangular chips.
Yeah.
They're colorful.
Usually the rectangles are bigger than a chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they flip over 2 cards. They're kind of blank. Xenonauts. Like I don't get what's happening, but he won at the end.
Yeah.
And the filmmaking of Goldeneye in this, you can tell when he's winning. You just don't actually know the exact.
Yeah,
statistics.
well, and this scene's really long.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really long scene, so I'd like to, another movie has that problem. It's Barry Lyndon. They're playing, I can't remember what they're playing.
I haven't watched that in forever. I forgot there's even a poker scene or card game scene.
Yeah, I love that movie. But anyway, regardless, I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure there's some sort of game scene that goes on for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're,
Well,
playing.
it was like when that started happening.
But it could have been blackjack.
I just kept hoping that like, Bob, get up. Bob, get up.
Yeah.
Bob, like that. It had the same intensity.
Well,
as...
part of you, in a weird way, doesn't want him to get up, right? Because if he doesn't get up, because right now, the irony is that the police, who he was, the informant for, know and have befriended Bob, but also they know that the heist is going down. So the cop, because he's his friend, is trying to tell Bob, don't do the heist, not just because I'm a cop and you're a robber and I don't think you should do this, but also I'm your friend. I don't want you to go to jail. But, like, because he's gambling, he's going to miss the heist. So it was kind of like, part of me was like, well, I hope he kind of does miss it.
Well, it's so weird because I became so like, emotionally invested in how Bob sees himself as this high roller, as this gambler, that I was actually more willing to have him fail in the heist than to lose all his money.
Yeah, me too.
Because he just kept winning. Like, to me, that was a sadder concept.
Because he'd been losing the whole film.
Yeah.
That we'd seen.
Because, I mean, he's a loser. I mean, he is. Part of the reason why he's hanging with this girl is because she thinks he's cool. And I think he just likes that idea.
Yeah, and Paulo, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paulo thinks he's cool as well.
Younger people don't know that he's kind of nothing. He's washed up.
He's smoking mirrors. I think the only reason he's planning this heist is because he's, like, really out of money.
He's desperate.
Yeah. So I texted you something during this film, and I don't know if it's just, like, modern day lens or something like that.
No, but it's important.
Yeah, so I said, I texted him that basically this film in a nutshell is the guys want to have fun and then the women ruin it, right? And
that to me, it's my second time watching it, so I had that in mind, and I get what you're saying, but I didn't find like
there's two females in this movie.
It's not a lot. It's a very much a dude movie.
And both of them are antagonistic.
I never really fully saw Anne in that
Anne screws
way.
another guy is running around on Paulo. But not that they were ever really together. But she runs around on Paulo, but she also leaks. She's a rat. She leaks information about the heist one. And then the other girl is working for a guy that's working on the heist and basically tells him to call the police and turn him in.
Yeah.
So those are our two women in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's a little disappointing.
It is, because it's whereas like the women in The Killing also kind of weren't that great. Yeah. I found those women to be more problematic, I guess, because like these, I can't really defend the second one, but to me, Anne just kind of felt part of the world. Where Anne and Paulo, because they were younger, they were kind of making these mistakes for the first time.
Well, yeah,
and they have big consequences.
Well, that's a good point, because this is Anne's first of many scars. If she's going to be living this life, this is going to be a story for her to tell for years.
One of my favorite kind of intros in the movie, because when they kind of meet up with her at that like restaurant and such, they're talking, and they're like, "What are you doing? Like up till like 6:30 a.m. doing all this kind of stuff. It's a bad place, bad stuff to do." Yeah, so I'm going to do bad stuff. That's kind of the idea of like, we're in the city, we're going to do the city that we see, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of just the way of life, and not even her feeling judged by that question. Like, it's what we're going to do.
She has really good energy. I ended up looking her up after this film just to see what she'd been in.
Anything you recognized?
No, not really. She was a model, mainly. Okay. And she's beautiful, but not really acting-wise. I think she just died not too long ago.
Oh, interesting.
And that's always weird for me now. It's like, dude, this movie... But she was so young. Dude, it was 1956.
Yeah.
And I still do that. It's so weird. You picture these people at a certain age, and, they're dead.
It's also the weird thing. Like, I'm still, like, shocked Olivia de Havilland's still alive.
Yeah.
Of course, she's going to die in the 3 days before this comes out. But like, you watch Gone with the Wind, and you go, oh my god, you're still alive.
Well,
and you're awesome still.
Well, first of all, Kirk Douglas, we're going to do that with forever. And what's
Kirk
number
Douglas
one is,
pissed off a gypsy. He's gonna live forever now.
and two, the one that I did a weird one, just a little tangent. When I watch It's a Wonderful Life, so sort of close to Christmas time, when I think about Zuzu, I think Zuzu is somewhere, and she's 75 right now.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless.
Well, I'm curious about the women in this film because you're commonly word on the rewatch, and I still have I liked it quite a bit as the movie, but I know it's a film that you and I both love. I always use it as an example of like when a film does not know how to use women characters. I think because the worst character in a great movie, which is Cinderella Man.
Yeah.
Renee Zellweger's character in that movie, to me, is the worst example of like, I don't want you to go fight. Then the audience goes, but then there's no movie. I get that you're concerned because it's a sport where someone's going to punch your husband in the face over and over again, but you can't cry every scene that he shouldn't fight because we have no movie to watch instead.
That's a good point too. Also, that's just been done, you know. Like,
it's over and over again.
You know, it's been done.
Most of the Rocky films.
I was literally going to say the first Rocky film is basically that, right? So, yeah. But anyway, no, that's a good point, and I don't think like I don't really even bring it up as a point of criticism, rather than just a note. You know, about like it is both girls in the film ruin the heist. Yeah. If they're not in the movie, I mean, because Bob ends up pulling away from the game. So if the two women aren't there, Paulo doesn't get killed, and the heist, we don't know if it works, but it gets underway. And
this may have been me going maybe too far in the movie, but I kept thinking about the nature of what a gambler is, and it's a failed profession in my mind. You're going up against odds that are unemotional, you know, right? You're up against statistics. Mm-hmm. You can never win every game as a gambler by fate, and to be a kind of upper class gambler is a complete farce. The stats are the same for everyone, and there's like a fatalism too. Like you know you're probably gonna lose this heist too. Like you also can't win every heist. You can't win every game. Like you keep choosing a lifestyle that you're going to lose a lot.
Well, that's sort of like the argument about, or the suggestion made, I think maybe by the title of the film, but you know, also like just a lifestyle, or I guess in some cases a profession is too, is, you know, what are you about gambling? Like, what are you actually addicted to? Are you addicted to the money? Mm-hmm. Are you addicted to the feeling that it gives you to win? Or are you a glutton for punishment? Or are you addicted to the risk? Do you get some sort of high? Because it's something that I could never be addicted to. I just know I couldn't be. I win $20 in the casino and I feel elated.
Right.
You know, enough to stop. I lose $20 and I get angry, so I stop.
I win $20 and go, oh God, I got lucky. I'm out. I got $20. God smirked at me. I got to leave.
Exactly. Thank God.
And what do you think, I guess, in that nature Bob is? Because I kind of have an idea of, like, exactly where his addiction lies, I guess.
Well, you mentioned fatalism, right? So, like, I think Bob's sort of like wandering around as a man that sort of feels like he's outlived his purpose, right? Because he's not winning anymore. The heist is more of just a way for Bob to feel relevant again, I feel like. In the sense that, you know, you brought up the wrestler earlier, and you're right. I mean, that's kind of the sense, too, is Bob is in a position where the only time he feels like somebody, or he feels alive, is when he's taking that chance and taking that risk, just like the wrestler. That was actually a pretty apt comparison.
I got that a lot just this time because I just felt so sad watching him, and I guess, you know, I still have issues with the wrestler as a movie, but at least I understand. I feel I understand Bob's world more than I understood the wrestler. What's his name? He can't be called the wrestler.
No, it's the Ram.
The Ram.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I mean, I like the wrestler quite a bit, but I loved wrestling as a kid. Yeah. So I think from that I could probably relate a little more,
because it's the same kind of thematic element, right? You're
taking a
punishment.
Risk. Yeah, well, and also you're taking a risk.
Yeah,
right.
And I think perhaps both of them also, to me, like, I don't find Bob to be addicted to money or even spending money. I think he just likes the silent applause you get when you're at a table and like everyone goes, he's good at this.
Yeah.
He just wants to be known as someone who can beat the odds.
Well, the odds in this movie makes a case that, was Bob even really good at gambling, or is the whole damn thing just luck?
We saw him at the end, and so we're just buying the myth of what he was earlier.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the movie seems to imply he won a lot in the beginning. He's lost a lot for a very long time, and he's winning now. That's just odds.
Yeah.
That's just odds.
He's going back to prison because he's like, yep, you're right. It's about time.
Yeah, I mean, and then, it probably, he's old in this film, but probably, the whole cycle will, start again.
Yeah.
There is a murder in this film, which is kind of weird. Paulo murders another guy for sleeping with Anne.
Yeah. A little out of place.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a little out of place. It also kind of makes me not really feel anything for Paulo when he's killed at the end of the film.
No. And that to me is I think that's a bit intentional. I don't think it's supposed to weep for him. To me, all my emotions are just on Bob and then a fraction of the pie towards Anne as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm with her more than Paulo of where's your future in this city kind of thing, I guess.
Well, Anne's kind of like a bad girl, but she knows it.
Yeah.
And it's not and she also kind of wants to. She doesn't want to be coddled. She kind of wants to learn the world for herself. She wants some scars.
Right.
She's seeking that sort of thing, which is all stuff that Bob has.
Yeah.
He has that now. So in a weird way, there is an idealization that comes with Bob to her, just like how Bob is a guy that Anne would have ended up with had he been 30 years younger, right?
Yeah.
Which is what Paulo strives to be, but isn't that.
Right.
So...
Well,
so that's the whole thing. It's Bob really cool, though. What are we talking about when we talk about Bob? Are we talking about the legend or the myth that he's created, or the man? Probably that legend or myth, right? Because the man is much more sadder reality, right?
I think that's why, to me, this is such a sadder film, because I'm just watching a man who's constantly painting a myth in front of him. Are you all buying this still?
Yeah, it's he spends his life in a box where he has to make decisions that fit with a false narrative.
And it's such a curious way because we're looking at Melville, and this is your first Melville film, right? Mm-hmm. And I wasn't worried until I was on my way over here to record, because the last time I picked a 5, I thought this is gonna be a fun one. Eric's gonna like. That was not true. Gene Kelly was a difficult one, and now here I'm following it up with where you've seen 0 out of the 5, so you even know going in.
I'm familiar with Les Samurai.
Yeah.
And I want to say Army of Shadows, too. I don't know why I'm familiar with Army of Shadows, but
this is someone who, we're going to see this kind of
Les Samurai, everybody knows the cover, because it's the coolest cover, right?
It is. To me, when I think of Jean-Pierre Melville, he, much like what we discussed Billy Wilder a long time ago, it was one of those times where I was just kind of watching all these foreign films, and I realized, oh wait, all these ones I love are all made by the same guy. Mm-hmm. And he only made a dozen films or so. I think I've seen close to all of them. And this guy is the embodiment of cool. And it's kind of interesting that we're starting off with, this is his 4th film, and Bob is not necessarily the coolest.
No.
We're about to see a guy who's a priest who's going to do long monologues about theology, and you're going to go, this is the coolest priest I've ever seen in my life. I want to be as cool as that priest. That's what we're doing next week.
I met some cool priests.
This guy, Leon Morin, his name, his title.
Yeah.
So...
Anyway.
So I think that's kind of wrap. I think this was a good start. I was happy to rewatch this one. I need it's Criterion get the rights back for most of these, because I got lucky with Leon Morin Priest.
You bought it right before.
I bought it a year or so ago. Now it's out. Someone lost my Army of Shadows. I'm going to have to buy that one off eBay. But
and I bought Les Samurai, so
because that's the coolest thing in the world.
Well, I have it, so we'll go from there. Yeah, if we've done 86 films, this movie's probably in my bottom 20, but most of the films I've loved have all been really good, so it's not, or great.
We are doing, hypothetically, the 86, best film so far, and Xanadu.
Yeah, and Xanadu, right?
Well, Xanadu's great.
But wasn't my least favorite film in the 5.
No.
So, Xanadu that's weird, that I like that film. I kind of like it. I recognize it's bad, but...
No, for the Immortals, we covered Grease a few weeks ago, and I was thinking Dark Grease, Wait, it's not Xanadu.
Xanadu is better.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to write to us and tell us what you think about Bob the Gambler, you can email us at let'stake5@theartimmortal.com, or you can leave a comment at theartimmortal.com. Tweet at us at the Immortals Pod. The Immortals Pod is the Immortals is a podcast that we share on the network. That is a podcast that Austin hosts. That's right, Austin. And what's it about?
It is about. There are three others of us who review the 1001 movies, albums, food, songs, and TV shows that you must consume before you die. Yesterday we had episode 105, I think, come out, where we had a very early pick. So we reviewed the Buster Keaton silent film Steamboat Bill Jr., and some other stuff, including a gross food that looks like a peeled grape, but does not taste like one.
And there's also another podcast on the network.
It's true. Ad Absurdum. That is the pop culture legal team take on a film and discuss all its legal ramifications. It was very fun to hear them do Inception as the most recent episode. They swear to me no one's coming soon, but you can still listen to their whole backtrack because it's just filled with really fun stuff.
So, will the question be answered, do you have a legal right to your dreams?
Oh, yeah. No, that is most of the episode. Is once Inception is real, privacy laws go out the window. Because how the hell do you own intellectual property in your dreams? It's a lot of fun how they discuss the lawyer's nightmare about living in the world where Inception is real. But also the site, we do want to plug two more things. Lee and her brother made a really funny commentary track for White Christmas, which we are going to work on develop into a larger show because they did a really funny job with that. And also we did our yearly best TV episodes of the year, where we had about 20-something contributors all talk about a good episode of TV from last year.
What about Adam Lord Music?
Adam Lord did the music for this episode.
He did. He does a great job.
He always does a great job.
So that's a thing too.
It is. Just write that on the notes.
The show notes.
Yeah.
You know, look for Adam Lord's music, and also check me out on YouTube at Constant Aversion. That's my thing. Man, I felt like I was like a used car salesman there with all those ads, man.
It's kind of how podcasts work. I mean,
it is what it is.
If only Squarespace would sponsor our show, but they just like the other 2,000 other podcasts out there.
I think Criterion should sponsor us. We basically try to sell every movie.
Well, at this point, why pay us?
Yeah. Well,
we're just kind of stupid. But yeah, this episode brought to you by Amazon.com, where you can rent this movie for $2.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. My name's Eric Martindale.
I'm Austin Luger.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Le début de cette histoire se situe pendant ces quelques minutes qui séparent la nuit du jour, pendant le crépuscule du matin. Montmartre, c'est tout à la fois le ciel et